like some Alice in Chains to come back into a segment. You're listening to me, Patrick Riggins, and I host a show called The Patrick Riggins Show. It's great when things work out like that, isn't it? We're piping our show around the world on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and sending it out over the ether here locally via News Talk 98.7 WOKI. This segment, I want to talk about something that I hear mentioned quite a bit, and I alluded to it when we came out of the last segment. I hear it mentioned quite a bit, but no one really elaborates on it. Or if they do, they miss the point entirely. What I want to talk about is what's been called the, quote, Great American Experiment. This American experiment here in our country that we've been doing here, well, since it was founded. Interestingly, what may shock you is it isn't about capitalism. It isn't about having a more moral or Christian government. It isn't about Christianity nor any religion. This country is an experiment in freedom and liberty. That's the experiment that hasn't really ever been tried before. People living freely without government or any other authoritative interference. We had to establish limited government to take care of some things, but for the most part, we're supposed to be free to do as we wish, as long as we aren't infringing on that same right of someone else. What's happened over the years, though, is we've diluted this freedom more and more as generations pass. Each succeeding generation is less free than the one before it. But since this new, quote, limited freedom is what each generation grows up under, then they think that's the definition of, quote, American freedom. What's happened is we've gone from an experiment in individual freedom to an experiment in governmental intrusion and control. Except we don't need to conduct an experiment to see what happens with that. Just look at the old Soviet Union or any other central planning, government-centric country. They all eventually fail. They all become unsustainable. Our founders knew people were resilient. They can figure out ways around obstacles. They can do things for themselves quite nicely. But get government involved, and everything gets screwed up. We know how government-centric civilizations work. We don't need an experiment in that. But for some reason, we always have people in government who all of a sudden think they know everything and can take care of you better than you can yourself. We tried to limit their power through the Constitution, but the government doesn't obey it. And if the government isn't going to obey it, what use is it in having a Constitution at all? The government certainly would like to just do away with it and not have to bother obeying its rules. Then it would be free to treat the citizens of this country however it pleased. I don't know how much farther it could go down that road than we already are, but I suspect it would probably resemble Nazi Germany. So it's up to us, the citizens of this country, to defend the Constitution and our freedom and liberty. If the government is going to try to circumvent the Constitution, then we're going to have to hold government accountable. And that means voting the bums out. Every election, if need be. Even before we had the Constitution, government has been trying to seize control from the people of this country. It's been an endless battle ever since the beginning, and it won't ever stop. Because people will always be seeking to have power and control over others. I don't know why. Personally, I think these types of people are mentally ill. I really do. If you're seeking power and control over others, you're mentally ill and should probably be locked up until we can find out what's wrong. What's short-circuited in your brain. I'm not saying everyone in government is a mental case, but a whole lot of them are. It's getting more and more rare to find someone in government who doesn't want to use it to do something other than what's specified in the Constitution. They don't want to put it to a vote, though. They don't want the people to have a say. They just want to do their pet projects and programs without having to answer to anyone. Just look at how contentious these bureaucrats are when Congress dares question them about their jobs. When the people dare try to hold them accountable. You really can't blame them, though. They're just following what their boss, the president, does. Nothing's ever his fault. He's always fighting on our side. He's always trying to convince us, hey, I'm getting screwed over too. Really, Mr. President? Are you going to give up your health insurance, your personal doctor, your government pension? Are you going to give all those huge amounts of money ex-presidents make? You will give all that to charity? The Clintons didn't have tons of money when they went into office, but they're multimillionaires now. Huge multimillionaires. Along with Al Gore, who's probably into the billions by now with his global warming scam. All these people in government feel our pain, but I don't see them jumping into line to live it. Feeling your pain and living your pain are two totally different things. Next time you hear a politician talking like that, ask them if they'll trade places with you for the rest of your lives. Or even send you their paychecks and you can send them yours. Bet they won't do it. Because they really aren't interested in living like you do. Just telling you they understand while they climb back into their limo and head to their mansion. But some people say, Patrick, I don't want to have to fight government every day. Well, I'm sorry. That's what living in a free country demands. Having a constitution isn't going to protect us. If you haven't realized that by now, then I don't know what to tell you. We have to start getting people out every election day and voting. That's how we can make changes to our government. Complaining, shooting up an airport, none of that's going to work. Voting works. Getting out and getting people to the polls on election day works. Give rides. Load up a bunch of your neighbors and friends. Make a night of it. Go vote and then go out to eat. That's how we can take back our country from those who want to ruin it. Listen, too many people have fought and died so we could have this chance at freedom. Do not let a bunch of whiny busybodies, both inside and outside government, don't let them take all of that from you. They don't deserve this country. You do. If you're going to let a bunch of these little petty politicians and bureaucrats defeat us, then what would your ancestors have to say who busted their butts to make something of this country? What would they say about you giving up the fight for the country they fought so hard for? They'd tell you to stop your belly aching and get busy. They had redcoats shooting at them while they were trying to win our independence and freedom from liberty. Independence and freedom from England. No one is doing that to you. No one is trying to kill you while you're out voting or while you go to a political meeting. We have it much easier, yet we're letting it all slip away. Increasingly, I don't think a lot of people, they don't want to live in a free country with responsibilities. We're raising whole generations of children who are taught that nothing is their fault, that everyone wins, that all outcomes should be equal. These are the people who will carry us into more and more governmental control unless we do something about this type of curriculum. They don't want to provide for themselves. They don't want to be responsible for their own life. They don't want any of that. They want to be told what to do. They want government intrusion and direction. Now, everyone who isn't insane would say, Patrick, why would people want that? Well, it's because if government's in control, you aren't responsible if your life doesn't turn out like it should. If your life isn't working out, if you aren't where you want to be, you can blame government. Or you can blame someone else. Anyone but yourself. You aren't responsible for yourself, so how can you be to blame when you aren't living up to the standards that you think you should? Inside your mind, you want to be successful, but you don't want to do the work that goes with it. And since you aren't willing to do the work, you won't be successful. But blaming yourself isn't an option, so as some other entity in control, you can blame it. Or whoever it tells you is responsible for your predicament. We're already up on the half-hour mark this week. When we get back from the bottom of the hour break, we'll start off with Obama lies and what they mean. I could probably do a month of shows on that subject alone. But we'll limit the scope enough to shoehorn it into the next segment. Join us in a couple of minutes here on the Patrick Reagan Show and the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network.
So where you going to tomorrow?